Hi, my name is Janice Herrera. I use she, her pronouns, and I work as a health promotion specialist at the Health Equity Council. We're a local nonprofit organization, and we work to improve health outcomes and the quality of life for residents in Bernalillo County. I would like to also acknowledge all the partners that we worked with on this particular grant. So it was an EPA-funded grant that supported the installation of 6 different monitors back in 2022. And we're fortunate to have Maria Gallegos in the room, who was one of the people who started on this grant project, which spanned over several years, starting with the inception, the quality assurance, pilot plan, and then going into the early stages of the project, which also involved collaboration with youth. An educational component that was community-based. And then we also worked with the Bernalillo County Urban Ag Group. We worked with the 6 monitors were installed at a number of different sites. So that would include Le Jardín Verde, Loma Linda Community Garden, the Wilson Wildcat Blooms Garden, East Central Ministries, and then the last site was the First Nations Community Health Clinic on SUNY. So we worked with all of those partners to install the air quality monitors themselves. And then the program also had a component called the Neighborhood Food Hub that worked on food justice issues in the International District. Okay. Yes, I caught up with where you are. So the 6 monitors at those sites that I mentioned, 5 of them were going to be the Clarity Node as 2.5 monitors. So similar to some of the presenters before me, looking at those really small particles that are going to embed deep in your lung because of the health impacts associated with those. The air quality portion of this grant was testing a hypothesis that if we looked at community gardens in the area of the International District that had been in production for a long period of time, say 10 years or more, and then we contrasted them with other community gardens that were more recently established and didn't have that long-term building of soil or developed plants, that we might be able to see a difference. So the International District is where the Health Equity Council is located. And it is also another area of environmental justice concern in Albuquerque, where health outcomes and life expectancy are lower than other parts of town, as we know. And then in addition to the 5 Clarity Node S monitors that we did, we also did have 1 Clarity prototype ozone monitor. That one went in at East Central Ministries. And so, yeah, the Clarity Node S are, they're solar powered, they don't require Wi-Fi, and it was really relatively easy to find sites that would be willing to host them for that reason. We just had to find a location at the right height, with some south-facing sun, couple of screws, good to go. Pretty simple and straightforward. However, the ozone monitor did require power, and that made things substantially more difficult. And so it took us longer to find a host site. One of the concerns with a lot of the sites was power that would not be tampered with. Because, if the site had public facing outlets, people might come and unplug it or things like this. And so we were able to get it placed at East Central Ministries. We collected data for the fall period with the ozone monitor. The Clarity prototype actually does not let you to collect data during freezing temperatures. And so we had to disconnect it during the winter time. But we can look at gathering more data again as we go back into the warm season when the ozone levels will be high. Next slide. So some of the things that we observed through our data gathering period, the most interesting events to me that were kind of outliers for the team, especially them, like maybe something for the students to think about trying to capture. 4th of July was a really interesting anomalous event. And the peak on 4th of July was comparable to the Haboop shooting. So we essentially simulated a natural disaster here in town by lighting up fireworks everywhere. And so, I've never seen a drone show, but I'm really curious about it because I'm like, maybe that's a better alternative, guys. If we don't have to do this every year. Then there was the Accor United Polysystems plastic fire, which did happen in the South Valley. And for that particular instance, using the Clarity map, you could identify that the South Valley site did represent higher particle concentrations that day as compared to the HEC sensors that are closer to the international distance. So not terribly surprising, but yeah, it did register. And then we also looked at different high wind advisory days. So the Environmental Health Department, where Maria works, has this really wonderful feature that you can sign up to actually get notifications. And so I'll get alerts that will tell me, hey, this is a high dust advisory day. If you're a construction site, cover your dirt piles. If you have health issues, stay indoors. And so on days when those sorts of notifications would go out, then we could have a look at our sensors as well and compare, what does it look like relative to, kind of an average baseline day, which sites look highest on that day, et cetera. So I'm curious to take a quick poll in the room. Which of these three types of unusual events folks think would have the highest PM 2.5 count? Would it be the 4th of July event, the plastic fire, as measured at the closest site to the plastic fire, or the high wind advisory days, the worst one that I found? So, who thinks it was 4th of July? Raise your hand. Okay. Who thinks it was the massive plastic fire? Okay. What about the high wind advisory days? Gusts up to 40 miles an hour. Okay. The highest peak reading, very short duration, was the 4th of July. Yeah. So, pretty interesting. Looking at more like typical days in Albuquerque, the established garden sites, there were some of them that did tend to be lower relative to the other sites that were newer. However, sites that were located in high traffic areas, whether they were more established or less established, they tend to show more PM 2.5 measurements, which is not terribly surprising. So yeah, there are other environmental factors that play, obviously, besides just putting in the fire. Data collection is ongoing, and so for folks who would like to look at our interactive maps, you could either take a snapshot of the link or navigate to our website using the QR code. The website is great because it does have, different buttons that you could go to for all of the different aspects. So if you're really interested in justice, you could read more about all of the grocery access mapping that was done by the Food Hub group. There was a soil remediation and testing component that was done at these garden sites, and you can look at that data as well. And then as we talked about today, you can see the data that we're capturing at these different air quality monitoring sites with our Clarity sensors, and then some of the additional background information about the youth group that worked on it, things like that. And then finally, over here on the lower corner, that's what the PM 2.5 monitor looks like. If anybody hasn't seen one before, I think they're pretty common. They were high reliability devices, like talking about gusts and things. The only issue we had with maintenance really with any of them PM 2.5 was that one of them got knocked down by the wind. And it was like actually pretty good afterwards. It wasn't too bad. So it's pretty impressive. They didn't require a lot of service or maintenance. I think the ozone prototype that we looked at is definitely like a more hands-on maintenance required type of device. So thank you. That's that.